Welcome to Alberta. Yeah, you do. Welcome to Alberta Football Uncensored. My baby's in the
Oh,
background
I
crying a little
hear.
bit. It's feeding time. Gabe knows all about that. I'm excited to talk about that a little bit. Fatherhood's been a blessing. Welcome to Alberta Football Uncensored. I'm your host, T.J. Johannesson. With me, as always, Omari Fraser and our unofficial, third co-host. Gabe is with us, and I'm really looking forward to this. We've got a lot of cool things to talk about. We'll do team previews after this podcast. We'll get into a little bit that on here. Gabe, I'm just going to come right to you, man. It's been a while since we've had you on. I know a lot of things have changed in your life. You've got some really exciting things, which we're going to talk about today, and I'm really excited to talk about with you. But just overall, man, like how's your life been the last little while? How are you doing these days?
Yeah.
Just talk to us about that and yourself.
Well, for starters, as always, it's great to be back with you two. I think we have some of the most fun together, despite the fact that we never ever actually really get to spend actual time together, which I think is amazing. Um, but life's been good. The girls have been wonderful. Keely's been doing very well in school, so I'm very proud of her for that. She should be getting ready to finish here next year, so we're clapping for her on that. She's gone through a lot. Trying to put together life with our for our child and everything, kind of in our weird, wild situation of being parents. So very much hats off to her for that. Lena's doing wonderful. She's you know how it goes, guys, with the young ones. Every day is an adventure. She's now talking a whole lot more, which is it's amazing. It's amazing to say the least. But life's been good, work's been great. The body has been phenomenal. We'll kind of touch into that, but I think I'm actually truthfully coming into the best shape I ever in my career, which is kind of weird because I'm a little older now. Um, but everything's been wonderful. Investment's been good.
Yeah,
House has been
I've been
coming
really
along
good.
together
I
great,
can
so I can't really complain.
I
How are
feel
you
you
two?
on
Is
that one
everything
as
been
far
good?
as getting older, but being in better shape. I think I was just at the a flag football tournament in Calgary on Saturday, and I tried out did a ID camp for Team Canada, and I showed out really well there. Was the fastest in all the speed events we did, and I think people like yourself and me, Gabe, we're ultra competitors, and with that becomes the ability of we don't want to see ourselves fail. The thought of being slow and unathletic is like extremely traumatizing and not something we want to do. So
Man,
I think this is when yeah, I think this is when like
great
ego
Hercules.
becomes a weapon for you, right? Because it just we can't be. I can't picture myself not being as athletic as I possibly can. So I definitely feel that. I've been really good. Fatherhood's been great. The baby's been home for a couple months now, and it's just an absolute blessing to see her grow every day. Like you said, your daughter's starting to talk more. Mine is in the stage of just starting to smile and recognize us. And I think that's just honestly one of the most amazing things ever when she smiles and starts flailing her limbs around everywhere because she's excited. So I've been really good. Omari, how about you?
Man, life's been good. We just got back from our first family vacation, so it was awesome to take Arden out on his first plane ride, first resort trip. Went to all inclusive, so he just had a blast to go enjoy the food and everything, as well as see the beach. So that was really cool to just see, and like it was like of course I've been to like an all inclusive before, but it was cool to see it through his eyes.
Where'd you go?
We went to Mazatlan in Mexico.
Oh, yeah. Did, did you golf?
No, we didn't golf. We didn't golf at all.
Okay.
I didn't see any
Yeah. I was gonna
golf
say it looks really
around
nice like that.
there. Like I didn't see any golf course or anything. So
Yeah.
I was big on the beach volleyball. So I got some sand work in, got some beach volleyball in. So I'm made sure I got some work in just to take advantage
Okay.
of the sand. But overall, it was really cool to see Arden's experience through everything. Like his first flight,
Yeah.
the takeoff, the landing. Even though he fell asleep on the takeoff the first time, it was kind of funny
Yeah.
on that. He was out, so I'm like, all right, I'm taking it. Um,
Okay, okay, Lena did too. Yeah. I was actually going to ask about that for your situation. Like, so how did he do? Because when they came down here, from what Keely says, Lena kind of fell asleep right at takeoff too and was just
yeah,
kind of
you know what it
cruising for the
is?
whole
I
thing. And
think
I
it's
was like,
because like
wow,
the
that's
white noise
actually
of the
not what I was
engines,
expecting for the first go
the
around to be honest.
plane, like everything's calm at that point. Like typically, I find takeoff is pretty calm because you have the engines
No,
going.
that's a good point.
But
I need
he
to
just,
like
yeah, especially because like you get to hold him in that burp position, and he was just like next to mom, engines going, just out. So we
Yeah,
had
that's.
fun there.
I think
Yeah, that's
kids.
it.
I think kid. Yeah, how long was the flight?
4 hours, 4.5 hours.
That was good.
I
How
think
long was the
kids.
flight?
It's that thing where like ignorance is bliss. Like I haven't been on a flight since I've been on 2 flights in my life, and I haven't been on one in like 20 years or even more than that. I'm just it's. I like being alive. I like having my feet on the ground. And I think as a baby, that ignorance is bliss. You don't realize that there's an 80% chance that you might crash. Like, that's how I feel thinking about the plane ride. So, no, man, it's just not my thing.
So what's gonna happen this
Nah, for
year
real?
if the Bucks make it to Natty's? Like, you guys gonna drive to Toronto?
Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, so first of all, I'll say this. It's not. I'm still not 100% sure where I'm going to play this year, if I'm even going to play at all. That sounds a little crazy, but I am. I'm conflicted in a lot of areas. Being a new father and my body and getting injured is something that, like, when you're 22 years old, you don't think about getting injured. When you're now my age, it seems to be all that I can think about. My anxiety takes over a little bit. I'm not 100% sold on playing for the Bucks yet. I have to see some things. I'm definitely at a point in my life where if I play football, I want to have the ability to win a national championship. I'm not sure we're there on the Bucks yet, to be brutally honest. So I'm not sure if I play on a team that ends up making it to the national championship, I will be driving. Yeah, I've thought about that for a long time, and it will be a road trip across Canada. My wife and baby will come with me, and it will be an experience that we will have together. So yes,
You know
100%.
what? That would be a fun family trip, a little road trip across Canada. Like, even that sounds fun as a family. Yeah.
Oh man,
I swear.
I'll be mic'd up. I'll mic the
We need
baby
whole
up
thing
too.
documented from start all the way to finish.
Road trip.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, I was about to say no. Like, she's got to give her own like
Absolutely,
commentary and
yeah.
everything too. Somehow, some way. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Speaking of
that's
switching teams,
that's
that leads
great.
us perfectly into our next segment. So, obviously, Gabe, big announcement. Probably, honestly, the biggest announcement with the AFL in a long time when we see impact players making decisions to trade teams. So, obviously, you've decided to move on from one powerhouse team in the Jets to the defending national champion team in the Gators. So, just take your time, talk us through that, kind of what was going through your mind, what kind of conversations did you have with Kurt, and what ultimately drove your decision to join the Gators? Yeah.
Yeah, where's the mark clip button? Right here. There we go.
No, just and like no, bear with me. And I'll do my best to cut it down. It's that's kind of a loaded question, if you will. Even when I spoke with Mike, I tried my best, and we still couldn't even get the specific whole thing. And I really want everybody just to kind of understand, and not like I need people to just understand my part or anything, but I've always been a guy who, whether you say anything or not, I'm gonna prove you wrong. But in which case, I feel like
Yep.
there's just a lot of misunderstanding, and I just want to rather give clarity, if you will. So, if you really kind of date back, and I'll say it again too, these are conversations nobody knows about other than my camp, if you will, as the people in the higher sphere like to say. So let's go back to last season, preseason, off season, if you will. Tej, you can kind of attest to this specifically. I wasn't specifically shopping, but as I was always joking around, as I always joke around, it's always nice to hear what people want to offer for you. So in which case, my phone has always been open. Doesn't matter who I've committed to or anything of that given nature. My phone is always open. It doesn't hurt to ever talk or have a conversation because you never know where relationships may be created. So to that point, that year I talked to a few different teams. Not like that, but see if there's potential, if there's interest, if I need to move on, or if I would like to move on, whatever the case. What doors are open? Talked to Tej a little bit. Talked to Anton and Airdrie, and Of course, always had my home in Cold Lake, so had talked to Teague on a daily basis. And then, as we all knew the Gators were coming back, I then, of course, was able to talk to Curtin. That was actually the first whole conversation we had had. We had kind of said a couple things here and there just on plays made during the season, or seasons prior, that I've been in. So it wasn't ever like we had a relationship. I want to state that first and foremost. So us talking right there was really the beginning of anything. Whether it was a friendship, a potential, what it's turned into now between me and him, being on the same team and everything. Anything. We just kind of broke ice, and it was a very positive conversation. I would say the American to American aspect was very much in effect there. But it ultimately what I came down to, if everybody remembers, and you guys especially, because I talked to you guys about it, it was best for me and what I had also promised Damon, as well as a lot of my other boys, that I would be in Cold Lake for 3 years straight, 3 years standing. Last year would have been my third year, and I wasn't going to go away from my commitment. So whether we would have ended up making it to the conference championship or not, or going to the Natty or not, or whatever we would have done, that was where I was going to be. I wasn't going to go anywhere else. And as I mentioned to a lot of people, there was a lot of straight I had during the season. As I told you guys, I almost walked away after we beat the Wolfpack. And while Betty would say, "Why? That was a great bounce back game you guys had." Like I said, off the field, there was just a lot going on. As we all know, my family is very important to me, whether it's as a whole or as it is right now. Although it's separate, we're still kind of a whole. We still connect positively. We communicate positively. There's just a good solid bond there, if you will. And I was actually kind of hurting that more being away. It wasn't so much what I thought it was, just the aspect of being in the sport. It was more just being away. Kids, as you guys know, you guys are fathers now. When your kids are newborns, you need to be in their lives, especially in my given situation. I'm not from up there, so any time I get is even more powerful and meaningful. And I wasn't specific. I guess you could say looking at it that way is a good way to put it. I was more trying to understand how to be a father and what stuff comes with that, as opposed to what's really important as a father. And as I begun to understand that over the season, I really kind of realized, I need to find a way to get closer to the girls. Whether I'm across the street in the same house, down the street, on the other side of town, I got to find a way to get closer to them. And that's really what it was coming down to a lot during the season. But gratefully, I was able to, finish it out, and you know, it it worked out. We had a great year. There was a lot of turmoil we went through. We lost a few guys, injuries, family related issues, all that good stuff. But things happen. We made it back. As we all know, I wound up getting hurt and everything. And I think that's when the perspective part of my career kind of came into. And now we're really hitting the hard conversations, specifically. So as I started to heal, what a lot of my mother is probably the most instrumental person in my career. And while rightfully so, I can't, the best way I could describe it, it's more than just because that's the person I lean on. That is actually like my power source. And I stress that. Like the best way I could describe it, because I don't know if anybody up there will ever get to see me play, or see that happen with me playing in front of her. Have you guys ever seen, as I told you guys ever seen Ray Allen play in front of his mom when he was playing with the Boston Celtics, and he would hit a three, and they would show them, and he's barking at her, and she's standing up in front of everybody, letting it be known, like that's me and my mom in a game. So that dynamic doesn't actually just happen like in a game situation. That dynamic is 24/7. Like we're always right there. So what it really came to one day was, as you're at that point in your career now, and this is her talking to me, how do you want to go out? And I didn't really understand what she meant, because as I've told you guys, I've done everything. I've done everything. The only thing I can't say I've done is actually been on a pro roster. Like, but I've tried out for one about 4 or 5 times. I've been paid for this sport. I've gone overseas for it. I've traveled for it the last almost 10 years. Like, what more can I say? I've played on TV, all that good stuff, all that good stuff. So I'm thinking that's what she means, but that's not what she meant. She was kind of more talking on the aspect of she saw something I guess I didn't. I'm a little too loyal to the soil sometimes. I'll stay in things whether it's good or bad or too good. Maybe I shouldn't stay in it because it's not this right now, not right now, or maybe I'll stay in it too long and it shouldn't be staying in. That's just what I do. Not saying that was a given situation, but that's just how I've been because I just try to see things through, for better, for worse. Um, and I think my mom was kind of just looking at it from, we want to see you go somewhere maybe different. You've been someplace longer than you've ever been. If you actually look at my career and where I've traveled and how I've moved, Cold Lake is the place I've been the longest. I've never stayed anywhere this long, ever. A lot of obviously factors played into that, um, but it is what it is. So after that, as I started to heal, spend time with my family a little more. It was my birthday up there, and I was actually getting conversations to go overseas again and play. And that's when then I really kind of started to understand what my mother was saying because the team I was going to go to, while it was a great opportunity, I don't know if me and my boy would have been able to magic out of nowhere again. We did that once together in 2021, and it was very, very hard. Just the two of us. I don't know at the age we were both at now to do the things that we did that year would have happened again. It would have been very hard despite the help we would have gotten. So that's when then I kind of thought about, okay, do I want to be a guy that wants to rebuild completely and go through the process of not potentially ever getting to a championship game again, or being on a championship contending team, or being able to just enjoy football and not have to worry about trying to raise people a certain way like I've done my entire career, which is why I've made every decision I've made. More, it's not always about winning for me. That's when I thought maybe I deserve that. Maybe I deserve to have a chance to just play football, not have to be. Granted, it's kind of hard to. I probably kind of still am to some degree. A face so much. I can just be a piece. Um, I can just kind of fit in, if you will. Um, and I feel like everywhere I've gone, I've kind of always just had to be the face, and there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes you kind of do just want to relax a little bit. You know, I'll be honest about that. It's not a pressure thing. I love the pressure. It's not a limelight thing. I enjoy the limelight. I just kind of wanted to see what football's like, just being not the most, not the best player on a team, and having to see how good I am, if you will, because I know I'm great, but I actually want to see how great I am still now at this point in my career. Can I still carry? Can I be good enough to start? Am I good enough to impact like I've always done? Like, let's find. That's what I wanted to find out. And as we came into the fold to the season, or as we've gotten to now, if you will, prior to getting to this point, as you know, Tej, we then spoke, you and me. There was a potential opportunity there. And again, there are conversations, especially that are going to come up. Some people are going to find uncomfortable here. I don't really care. This is my time. Not saying you, Tej, specifically, but some. Um, and Tej, as we spoke,
Yeah.
there was that strong, strong desire for you and me to make something happen. As I mentioned to you,
Yeah.
that would actually be a very, very competitive team right away. All we would need is somebody to distribute, whether to us or to other people, so you and me can do our thing on the defensive end and get the ball back for them, or to be contributors there as well,
Yeah.
helping in the return game, helping as coaches, in that aspect, bouncing off each other's heads. That would be
Yeah.
something we could have done very much so. Not saying we still couldn't, but you get what I'm saying. Like, as the conversation we had there, that was something that was very much in the mix for me. it just, as we said, it just came to what could we find at that specific spot. Because to fully kind of give context as I kind of unfold who I've spoken to, it really kind of came to, if I'm going to leave, I'm not going to leave somebody that can't beat Cold Lake. And not like I want to beat them or anything, but it makes no sense to even leave for, despite what's best for me, my family, or anything, or my career, if I'm going to go someplace and I
Yeah.
can't even beat the team I just came from, because that would mean that's the best possible option for me, truthfully. So
Mhm.
Cold Lake was always in the mix to go back. So that's why I say that. That was never not an option. That's my home. That's how I got to this league. It's who I am. As many people I spoke to around, that's what made me a Hall of Famer in this league. And I appreciate that, even though I won't say that about myself. I appreciate you guys for that. Thank you. But that's home. So that'll never change. So Cold Lake obviously was always in the mix. And then spoke with Anton. What could we put together? As a defensive set team, with me and what he could do, what he knows, what he likes to do, as in somewhat an American Pac-10, Pac-10, Big 10, Big 12 style defense. What could we do together like that? Could we scheming up zone wise with a zone blitz concept? Would we setting up different stunts up front? Could we set some stuff like that up together and then get the ball back to our offensive guys to try to figure out plays and get good scores? And then if I needed to get in the mix in there too with Sagoon, could we do that also? That conversation happened, and that was a good conversation too. I think what also helped for him in that case is my mother is a huge Notre Dame Fighting Irish fan. As much as I am not an Irish person, like I said, I do like money, and green is, hey, it is what it is right now until we fully all go to digital currency. Hey, green is money. So, there was a lot of factors that went in with Airdrie. And then obviously, before I mention the overall one, for obvious reason, Edmonton was in the mix. That's where the girls are. That's where it would probably truthfully have been easiest to go. It just didn't seem like, again, of either of those people, either of those destinations I've mentioned, I didn't think any one of them, with me, made them good enough to beat Cold Lake. Just truthfully, I don't know, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just being, let's just call it for what it is. Teague is not a fool. Teague
Yep.
is a very smart coach. Teague is a former pro, former all-star. Okay, there's a lot that goes into
Mhm.
intellect without him being on the field. I can go on for hours about that. I've sat with it for 3 years, as we all know what me and him did together. You know, if adding me doesn't make us anywhere near competitive enough to even have a chance to beat a team of his, it's not even worth thinking about. And I don't mean that in a bad way. That's just really what it came to. Because again, if I can't beat the team I just came from, that's the best option for me. There's no reason to even go anywhere else. And then I truthfully thought about sitting, just because I didn't know if where I ended up deciding to go would probably be the best decision. Not in a bad way or anything, just for a lot of parameters, as we're going to shortly get through here in a second. It just came to, did it make sense? Kurt reached out again. You know, me and him have been good friends since the first time we talked. Conversations had went on throughout the season when we played each other both times. Good competitive conversations, nothing ever negative, nothing ever disrespectful. As we all know, Kurt's a good guy. So, he came, asked what my interests were, what I was looking for, what I wanted to do. Um, Gave his respects to me, myself, my career, my accolades, and kind of laid out his vision, what he wanted to do, what he wanted to accomplish, and the things he needed to do that. Un- Unfortunately, for obvious reason, I kind of fit a lot of things for those teams, so it's hard to say I didn't fit that for them as well. So that option then was put on the table. So now we're talking, okay, is it the best possible option to go back to Cold Lake, or is it the best possible option to go to Calgary? While that would then put me in the same position to be leaving consistently, what changed was I got accepted into barber school at the Alberta Barber Academy in Edmonton. And that puts me directly in Edmonton 24/7 for the entire season. Now, granted, of course, I'll be driving in and out of Calgary for practices and games. Kurt understands what my dynamic is, what I'm trying to do, and what I'm also trying to build for myself. So he's fully on board with the time I will be there and all that other good stuff. My participation and everything. That doesn't say it'll be lackluster or anything, but he understands where there will be pull and tug for I got to be here for school and everything, but I'll be here for these days for games, practices, film, and all that other good stuff. We've had no issues or anything with that thus far, and I don't think we will at all. Um, Not to say there were any issues with that with Teague and Cold Lake. He was actually very supportive in that as well. It just kind of came to it was easier to be directly in Edmonton and never need to leave for any reason. And I say that because I can't, with the way I helped build Cold Lake, and I say helped, that Cold Lake was already a great team without me. I'm gonna stress that. I didn't think they could be the same team with me not leading the same way that I've led these last 3 years, going on to a fourth. There's a certain standard that I've set there, and I felt like a lot of what we lacked for, despite the injuries that happened and didn't happen, and even prior to them happening, I think was a lot of my fault of not being there because a lot of what I had going on, and I didn't want to put any of my boys through that again. That are still there. Some have retired. Some have gone home to figure out their schooling stuff as they were still young, of course. But the ones that were still there that I've gone to war with, I didn't know if I wanted to let them down again and not be available like that, and just kind of be a floater when this is, as we all know, Teague is the captain, runner, and everything of the ship. I am the general of his army. It's very hard for an army to function properly without their general. And I saw a lot of that happen too this year with, as mentioned, everything I had going on. And while you could say, well, maybe then you should just be there during the season again, if I have certain other responsibilities I need to account for that at the end of the day are way more important because football isn't forever, but my fathership is, maybe I got to try to put that in a perspective. So I then decided it was time to make a move. And it was a hard move. I talked to my mom about it. I talked to my dad about it. I talked to my best friend about it. I talked to, of course, the people involved from both circles about it. Hard conversations, hard goodbyes, hard hellos, not in a bad way, just, changes sometimes not always good. I mean, not always easy to come by, but it's been the right move. I don't want to say that in a bad way, and I don't want to say that in a good way. I say that it's the right decision I have made. There's just been a certain peace with what I said I wanted. I just kind of wanted to be able to kind of step back, focus on life a little more, but still be that guy, if you will. And I'm able to do that. I'm still have a certain hand, in doing things to where Kurt wants me to do. It's not anything extra. This is his ship. This is his army. I am just a very well suited soldier in that army. But again, we understand each other's dynamics, and it works well. You know, I think what then kind of solidified the relationship, and then to kind of flow in your questions and everything to open the doors. He wants to make history, as we all know what the history is. I want to be on that same side of history. Um, Baby blue is my actual favorite color. Powder blue, whatever Carolina blue, whatever color you want to call it. That's actually my personal favorite color. Um, as you guys heard me tell Mike, the first way I ever found out about this league was because of the Gators, watching them play the Wolfpack. And I didn't know what I was watching, but that's actually the first game I ever watched. And it's ironic that he put that game up while we were in that whole backdrop. It's actually kind of crazy, but to come full circle, it was just meant to be. That's how I look at it now. And that's why I say everything has gone so smoothly. Um, this is just probably where I was supposed to be for this point in my career.
Yeah,
And
I really
with that being
appreciate that,
said,
Gabe.
the
The
floor is yours
honesty
on that.
from you is always great, and that's why we love having you on here. A couple things that you touched on, I think, resonate with me too. Like in thinking about, what I want to do this year. You mentioned, you're a very loyal person, and I'm the same way. Like, I've played on the Bucks for 13 seasons. I did spend 1 year with the Wolfpack, not out of loyalty, but me and the Bucks brass at that year didn't see eye to eye on how we wanted the vision to go after we won the championship in 2021, and everybody left, and I was basically the only main guy coming back. And so I decided to join the Wolfpack and had a great year there. And then, went right back to the Bucks. And it's hard for me because, loyalty is important to me, and I love the Bucks. I love everything about my time with the Bucks. But I'm kind of where you're at too, where it's like, what do I need to do that I haven't already done, specifically in this league? Like, spending 14 years and being a first-team All-Star in every single position, from offense, defense to kicking, winning league awards, winning a championship. The only thing I haven't done is win a national championship. We didn't get the opportunity in 2021 to play in a national because the Ontario League didn't play that year. And that's the last thing that I have left to do. And so for me, it's like, is that realistic on the Bucks? No. Right now, no, it's not. We don't have the numbers. We don't have any coaches. We don't have a quarterback. So, and I'm not going back to playing quarterback. That was not a fun experience for me. Didn't enjoy that very much at all. So I'm kind of like you too. Like, the other thing with the Bucks is I've been the de facto head coach for the last, 3 seasons that I've played there. We get coaches that don't show up to practice, so then I end up doing it. And I'm kind of sick and tired of it, to be honest. Like, I love coaching, but I don't want to coach the team that I'm playing on. I'll help out and come up with schemes and help out, but I don't want to have to show up to practice and run the drills and run the practices and be hard on people. And then it's just, I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. I kind of want to just show up and play. And so for me, it's like, where am I going to have A, the opportunity to win, and B, the opportunity to show up and just play. And for me, I've had little conversations, not a lot with Kurt. We've talked about it a little bit. I've had some conversations with Anton. Those would be the two teams I would consider, would be the Gators and the Irish. I have no desire to go play in Edmonton, and I don't have a desire to play in Leduc. So, and unfortunately, I did the Wolfpack once. I don't think that's an option for me either out of the Calgary teams. I think it's such a you explained it well as far as how difficult of a decision these things are, especially when you are loyal, especially when you have accomplished as much as you've accomplished in your life. It's not easy. And honestly, like, I have lost sleep over it, just thinking like, man, I don't have a lot of time to make this decision. Like, practices for everyone are starting in a month outdoors. My other thing is like, if I do go to a place like Calgary or Airdrie, I can't commit to coming to every practice. I honestly can't afford it. With having a new baby, I can't afford the time away. And so there's all these things that kind of go into it. And then that's where it kind of leads me to go, well, what if I just take the year off and golf, so that's gone through my head as well too. And I love golf. I'm getting pretty good at golf. So that could be an option. I think there's an opportunity. You mentioned that you and I had talked and spoken. I had tried to, said, hey, the Bucks is a good place, because I was in the same mind frame that you were. Like, if you put you and I on a team together, I don't know how many other pieces we need to truly be successful. When you've got two guys that have played corner at the highest level in this league, shutting down, the 2/3 of the field, that becomes pretty formidable. And I know for myself, I would love the opportunity to play with someone like you. I've played with some decent corners, but never obviously one that is of your caliber. And the thought process of a team going against that and basically saying, well, we can't throw to our wide receivers or our slot backs if they're in cover 3, because that's going to get picked, is pretty enticing, right? So I wouldn't say that that's dead yet. I think Kurt is someone I want to talk to still for sure about kind of what happens. I've got friends on that team as well, that I've played with in the past. And So I think that still could be a possibility. But I think you kind of nailed a lot of important stuff when it comes to, especially when you're getting up, where we are in age in our careers of like, what more do we want? And that's a big question that I've been battling with a lot. Omari?
You've you hit a lot of nails in the head there, and I wouldn't, I can't sit here and say I haven't thought the same thing, because like it's been one of those things now too where I'm just like, I'm a loyalist as well. It's tough for me to like, loyalty is definitely one of those things where like it's definitely one of those like dynamics that I have as a personality where like I'm loyal to the T, but like to break that loyalty or like even to like anything like that, just it's hard to go through. But when you take into account family time, where we're at in our careers, I was watching the Pat McAfee show and they had LeBron on, and he was talking about how like he's like, hey, I know I'm on the tail end of this hill, right? And I know as athletes we don't want to say like, oh, we're washed. I hate that term like washed, but we know that there's, yeah, we put the work in to stay ready.
But it's that, neither are none of you. Yeah,
that side of like, I know there's limited games left, like it could be 30 games left, 20 games left. We never know, but what do you want to do? And you made a good point there, making history, because it's exactly. One thing here now too, where like I think I have a ring, TJ have a ring, Gabe, you got 3 rings, two rings, yeah, yeah, 2 rings. So it's one of those things where you want to compete at the highest levels, and you try and make this battle of like, where should I go and everything. Because I tease, because like I was telling people like in the beginning of the year, I was like, hey, you know what, I'm a free open agent, I still treat it as if I am right now. What if we were all to go to the Bucks, right? Get myself, T, Gabe, like,
bro.
Now we're going to cook.
That would be my number one. If I could recruit people, like if Gabe would have accepted my invitation to come with the Bucks, my decision, you would have made my decision very easy, Gabe. So it's actually your decision to not come that's kind of made my decision a little bit harder. Omari, you could help if you come along and yeah, so it's that would be fun. Load up on the Bucks. Hey man, I'll tell you right now, we besides maybe Cold Lake, we get some serious fans and media coverage out there. So that's another cool thing about the Bucks.
And that's the thing now, especially now when I look at the Gators. Like I was at a flag game I think a few weeks ago, and at the game going on, and the Gators pressing the back, and I was like looking over. I was like, the way they're moving, where they're just getting work done, all those things that they're doing, the price at a high level. You're like, it's hard to not want to be on there. And I know, sure, there's going to be guys who hear this and say, hey, like just come over to the baby blue and white, or I know the goals covers like Chris got. So it's I feel you on it. I've been thinking the same thing too. Do we all just all go Gators? Do we just call Kurt up here right quick on the podcast, say, hey, we got some news for you. We're all going Gators. See what Kurt's reaction would be.
Oh man, that'd be pretty funny.
That'd be pretty funny.
Well, I was gonna say he's in conversation. So
that's good.
I'm sure he wouldn't be hard to get a hold of. Definitely, guys. Just in the overall thing, like you really touched on, Amari, there. Just we're old now. You know, I know that. We're in football terms, we're old. Let's just keep it a stack. Football is a young man's game. Once you get on the other side of 30, it doesn't matter if you're 31 or 32. Like that other side of 30, it starts. And as I've told Mike when I talked with him, granted, it's little things I can already see him. And granted, of course, I'm working on other things, and especially those things so they don't come up as issues in the next, couple of years that I plan to play, to finish out my career. It's still the fact of them being there that is the telltale of, you have to be acceptive and acknowledge that the end is near, as Steph Curry says. You do. But that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of the time. That's the beauty of the time. When to that point, that is exactly why I think my decision was the best one. And over anything, that's just, like I said, the family football aspect. That doesn't go into, guys, it is the Gators. Like, it is the Gators. There's a huge amount of history behind that. I could go on for that forever. I mean, and even down here with that. A few of my favorite corners have played for the Florida Gators. So it's a lot of full circle moments for me, truthfully. So, you know, if you guys decide, at one point in time, somewhere down the road before the season starts, you guys want to come over. I mean, hey, that's something for you guys to decide. I'm nobody to tell you to. I would tell you might be a good idea, but it's your own decisions. But I wouldn't also close the door on maybe we can meet up somewhere else. If not the Gators, that could possibly happen before our careers end. But yeah, man, just I want to have fun. I want to just enjoy the football aspect of everything now. I don't want to just keep trying to have my hand in everything, even though that may be kind of hard to do just because of who I am as an icon, and people want to follow, or people want to be a part of what I do and all that. So, but still. Um, it's just this was the best place, the best place to be. Kurt has built an animal. The guys there have been awesome. I can't wait to get with Axe. We've already been discussing how to get him to be a better receiver, and that's kind of crazy to say because he's already a great one. But those are the conversations me and him are having. He wants to start breaking film down as soon as possible, start doing some one-on-one stuff. So I can't wait to get with him. Jordan already can't wait to do some one-on-one stuff, in a receiver setup with me to kind of find out, hey, what can I do to be a better Q and how can I fit better dimes in as he already does. It's going to be great. I can't wait to get them, Kurt and them the ball whenever they ask for it, as I told them, as we know I can. I look forward to getting to return again, which is something I haven't gotten to do in a while. And as we do know, when I touch the ball, good things happen. So Kurt's a smart man. Kurt's a very smart man in how he does and recruit and put things together. So this is going to be a very fun season, guys.
What'd you call Kurt the last podcast we had there,
Omari?
He's
been cooking.
He's been cooking. That's
cooking.
Right. That's the thing with Kurt, right? Like I've known Kurt for such a long time now. He came into this league on fire. He was president of the league. I knew him through that. He was on the Bucks for a year when we won the championship, so I got to be his teammate. I have nothing but positive things to say about the way Kurt goes about his business, whether it be personally, with running a team, how he treats other people. Just a phenomenal human being, and at the end of the day, it's you don't get to recruiting all these guys without just being a good person. He's got a personality that people just are attracted to, and he's able to explain his side of things and what he's trying to accomplish. And I'm missing that, like as a competitor yourself, Gabe, you've played at, like you said, all over the world, high levels. You understand what good leadership is. You understand what good coaching is. I miss that. I miss having that. I truly haven't had that, honestly, since I was played junior. It's not like you get in the AFL that you get like high quality coaching staffs, high quality leadership. I miss that. I miss that part of football. And that's why, the Gators and Irish are attractive to me. The Irish really too, because I love Anton. I love what he's doing down there. I love the way he goes about his business. They've apparently hired a tremendous coaching staff, and I just love to be coached. I think the greatest players, and without sounding too egotistical, but the greatest players become great because they're willing to listen to people that know stuff. And I've just always been a person that likes to listen to people and to pick people's brains and to have people who know what they're talking about watch me and say, hey, this is where you need to work on. These are your technique flaws that you have that you need to work on. And then I can take that and work that into my game, which I've done throughout my career. And I miss that. And that in of itself, I know I'm not going to get that on the Bucks. In fact, I know if I go back to the Bucks, I'm going to be the de facto head coach again. I don't want that. And so it's such a it's such a tough thing for me to kind of deal with. And for any of my Bucks teammates listening, this isn't a shot at the Bucks or anything like that. This is just the truth, right? And I think we can all admit that's a thing that's going on with the Bucks. And there's a chance I might just end up back there. It might just be easier for me. But there are a lot of things that I'm missing. And I don't want, even if I were to sit out this year, would not be my last year playing football, because I want my daughter to be able to come to games and watch me play football. So I have to figure that out. Kurt, give me a call. I'd love to talk to you. I know Anton and I are going to have communications as well. Maybe next year we all join the Irish. Hey, I think bringing a championship to Airdrie would be a really cool thing. That's an organization that's been on the cusp for a little bit here and has really good following. They got that new turf and new facility. The idea of being a part of the first Irish championship sounds pretty cool. I'm not going to lie about that. Yeah, so it's just, this is an interesting conversation to me. I've actually opened my mind a little bit to more thoughts, hearing kind of what you were doing and the decisions you made. Maybe I just need to flip a coin and figure it out, but we'll have to see how that goes. Omari, anything on this subject before we switch and talk to Gabe about the World Games?
Nah, it's the Gators could go from an already really good team to an even stacked team if they're to get more guys like yourself, myself. It's like, could you imagine the practices, like the standards we would all hold to each other, where it's just like, it's like one-on-ones, competing, knowing the different areas, then heading to games and everything. Like,
Man.
I just think of it in the case where, like, if we were to all go, and could be other players from other teams that go and everything, and the competitive goes, like, who do we go to compete against? Like, I don't want to go and I know I'm on the part of the pack now. We're working on getting towards to be more competitive, right? But when you think of the absolute domination that can come from the Gators, it's it's going to be an absolute, not say absolute wash, but you don't have those like tough. Who are you going against? Like, I'm trying to think of like a saying here in Marvel that like the Vision said, where it's like their presence demands challenge or demands like something to go against them. Like, I'm trying to think of the quote. I might need to enter in post. Yeah, it's like it's Civil War. Like Captain America Civil War, Vision goes on being like, "Hey, our mere presence just demands challenge."
Yeah,
and like if we were to all go, it's basically be the Avengers and the Gators. Like, who's gonna challenge? Who's gonna challenge that team? So it's interesting, and like it's definitely one thing where like as we head down to the final 60 days here of camp coming, like a lot of decisions are going to be made for not only I think ourselves here, but for a few players, and history is on the line, which I think is pretty cool moment in AFL history.
Yeah, and the other thing that Gabe kind of mentioned too, what Kurt's really trying to build there in Calgary, is to be the first team in forever to travel out east and win a national championship, and that, I mean, that is like that's the carrot, right? Like, that's the ultimate carrot of like that. There would be, I mean, at that point you might just have to retire, Gabe, because then really what more do you have to do at that point? I don't know. Maybe we meet again next year and we just decide we want to bring that to Airdrie or something like that. But that would be just monumental, and I think Kurt wants it. I was a little bit like, what are the Gators going to do? Is this a one-year wonder type of thing? They all come back for 1 year, they win a national, and they all peace off. Everybody's coming back. Like every main person that I can think of is coming back. And then you're adding Gabe. So they're going to lose Cameron Miller, and they're replacing him with Gabe. I mean, it's like it's ridiculous, right?
Yes.
And it's that's the only player I can think of that, Jordan Heather's coming back. They might have this other quarterback that you talked about last time, Chris Merchant or whatever his name is, this Canada guy. Like, it's just kind of ridiculous at this point, right? Like what they're putting together, but you have to respect it. I mean, they want to go win that national championship. Gabe, let's change subjects here. I'm interested in this. So you mentioned you did some fundraising to help yourself get to the World Games. Can you just talk to us about what the World Games are, who's involved, how did you get a part of that? Just because I haven't really heard of that, and I'm really curious about how that works and what exactly that is.
So, pre-context to the story. First time ever hearing about it for me, it was 20. I want to say early 2017. A few of my teammates, I had just started playing with Team USA the year prior, so I'm still a fresh rookie, still a baby, peach fuzz, all that good stuff. But a few of my teammates were, in my opinion, just world class athletes, whether they were linemen or not. It was mostly a lot of our linemen, a few of our skill guys, but I think we had like 4 or 5 linemen go that year. Um, they started saying, "Oh, I got my invitation to play for the World Games, this, that, and other." And I was like, "Well, what the fuck is that?" Not in a bad way, but what the fuck are the World Games? It sounds like some soccer shit. But that kind of generally was the, I guess you would say, big point of it. In a way, it's like the how soccer has that big world tournament. I guess that was what the Federation of American Football was trying to build, or has been trying to build in their own aspect for football around the world. It's just very hard, if you will, for obvious reason. Tackle football in a lot of other countries outside of like, ours respectively, Europe's, Japan, Asia's, if you will. It doesn't. After that, it kind of starts to tail off really bad. Not in a bad way, but just as far as talent levels. We are the founding fathers of football, if you will, as far as countries. So when you get to that, it's very hard to kind of keep all countries competitive on an equal scale. So what they were always trying to advertise was, recruit the best way you can, create the best world teams that you can, and let's put those teams together in a big bracket, and let's see who the best is, kind of on an Olympic stage setup. So it's 2017. Like I said, a few of them, I think about 7 of them had got invited, and I'd only played maybe about 5, 6 games up to that point. So I was like, damn, like how many games? What kind of career do you have to even get some shit like that? Like, that sounds like the highest of the high, because just as they were explaining, it's basically like an Olympic setup. You play. So how it would work, in this case for us, we play 4 games. We'll go out there. We arrive June 3rd, so leaving probably June 2nd. Get out there June 3rd. Start that later that week. I think the 4th. Yeah, the 4th, and then when each day we play a game, and then if we lose, we'll see. I think you can only lose once. You lose twice, then you fall to the last place, if you will, or the bottom bracket, and then the top 3 or 4 are the ones that place, and then first place takes home the rightful best country in the world, for the amount of time, if you will, until the next World Games. So I was like, damn, so you really get gold medals for this shit? And they're like, yeah, like, because there was once I started to have those conversations, and that's really what my conversations were, to be honest. Some of my coaches had actually played in the ones back in the 90s and the 80s, and they still had their gold medals. And they showed, and I'm telling you guys,
Hmm.
seeing some shit like that, it it is motivating. It is motivating. I've won medals in, tracks and stuff like that for individual awards. If to get points on medals. If you want to go there, but that is something different. That was something different. So I was like, I got to figure out a way to do that. So somehow, some way, I got good enough. I think we had a game later that year in Mexico, and right after that game, I actually got offered to the World Games that year in 2017. But it was literally the week of, and I just, I was so young. I wasn't thinking the way I was now. I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to come up with this money to be able to go. So I just didn't bother to go. And then I think that year, actually, both of our countries met, in the second day of playings. And I think you guys actually beat us, or we beat you guys and then met again, and then you guys actually beat us, the second time around. I know we met twice, in that actual tournament. So, yeah, it's actually really big. And then I think there was another one a little bit after COVID. And then I think we actually won that one, and then this one has come around. Um, I did not anticipate being invited. I did not know that the head coach, if you will, of the team is actually my former defensive coordinator and the coach that found me, and pulled me from the dirt, if you will, as the rose he saw blooming. As he likes to say, he He's the one that took a chance on me, but he was actually the one putting the team together this year. So once I found that out, I was like, maybe there's a possibility for me and him to reunite, and I've wanted that for a long time, a long time. The last time I had been under his belt, I think was my after my first year playing with Team USA. We played actually. He had like a little all-star game that he was putting together, and I actually went to go play for him. And we actually played in the Minnesota Vikings Stadium the year. I think it was when the Eagles played the Patriots when they
Crazy.
beat him in the Super Bowl. We played there the week before. So it was that when I tell you that was an experience, that was an experience. Trust and believe. Part of my friendship, that was a fucking experience as well. Very motivating. So, that was a guy. To really give credit. Coach Tony, I love you. I love you, buddy. Thank you, and I can't wait to see you again. Excuse me. That he's the reason why you guys get to have a conversation with me. He's the reason why I am who I am. Any of that. If not for him, literally pulling me out the dirt, I can't tell you where I'd be. But so getting a chance to reunite with him was like, damn, I hope I can get that. And then he actually reached out and he was like, when are you back in the States? I need to get you to play in a tune-up game just so I can say that you played here, this, that, and other. I was like, damn, coach, that might be hard because I'm still here for this time. And then when I get home, I don't know, it might not, the dates might line up. And he was like, all right, don't worry, we'll figure it out. So then I was like, all right, we'll see if we can figure it out. And then I got a little busy. He had reached out a few times. I just been busy with, trying to put together my schooling and everything to get up there, as well as the other stuff I've had to put together. So I kind of just got off of that, and then I circled back to it because one of my other coaches that are on staff, former coaches when I first started that are also still on staff, he reached out and he's like, hey, are you going to come out? And I was like, oh shit, my bad. Like, yeah, send me everything I need to do. Like, all right, we'll register here so we can get you through the process and see if we can get you an invitation. It took maybe all but like 2 hours to get me pushed through, and then my invitation came through. So it was like, damn, all right. At the time, I think I had maybe 17 days to put together the 800. And the reason why I put together a GoFundMe was just because at the time I was actually trying to put together all my money for school. And I'm a guy that likes to pay for as much, if not everything up front, so I don't have to worry about any lingering bills down the road. I don't really like to have to do payments too much. It's just not really someone I am. Sometimes you have to, of course. I'm not saying like I'm this big rich person by any means. I promise you guys, I'm not. This is not a big rich town over here for me. But in which case, I'm okay. I can take care of myself in that aspect. So I try to do that. So I was like, damn, I don't know if I can. And my deadline to actually finish paying off my school was the same deadline to finish paying off my Team USA stuff. So I was like, all right, we might need a little help here. So I'll be honest, I didn't truthfully think I would get the help that I got, and not in a bad way. This is not a shot to anybody that supports me or anything of that nature. It's just at the time of the year it is for us, especially down here. A lot of times, especially during tax season, as now with the new administration turnover, people are trying to put stuff together for themselves and their families, and build their own new resumes, if you will, in the world. So who am I to really sit here and anticipate, hey, you guys can help me fully with what I want to do as opposed to what you need to do. You know what I mean? So I kind of was just like, hey, if I could maybe get a couple bucks here, if it gets to maybe like 300 or 400, maybe we'll see. I'll probably put the rest, and we'll go from there. To my luck, my people love me. They love me dearly, and in fact, it was even some people up there, and I love you guys as well. That those that did help and support, whether you shared, donated, it didn't matter. I don't give a damn. You still supported in that aspect to me, so thank you. So to the people that helped out up there, and everybody down here, it's because of y'all that I'm able to go. So, got that going, and when I tell you the immediate excitement and buzz that was coming back, as I think about 17 to 15 of my old teammates are still playing on the team currently. So it was all, the captain's back. He's back. That boy's back. It's time to get back going. And, it's just like it's never ended. We still talk and everything, but to be fully back into the fold is like, oh, damn, we're both, the boys are back in town type shit. So it's been good. Coach Tony's had a lot of fun in our meetings, just bouncing back off me, using me as his reference. My offensive coaches even they're having fun with it. Like I said, to kind of give just a general idea. So, like I mentioned, it's June 3rd to June 8th. We'll get out there. We'll play 4 games. As long as we win all the way through, we play in the championship game the last day. Um, uh, Final ceremonies will be, I believe, the 8th. That is when we get your medals crowned. There's a legitimate whole parade for this. There's a gift ceremony for all countries, including Greece, where we give them gifts. They provide us gifts. We provide the other countries involved gifts. I don't know all the other teams involved, to be quite honest. I'm still trying to figure that out. I do know Mexico is there, and I know Costa Rica will be there. And in years past, Mexico has always been a tough powerhouse. If I'm correct, you guys are actually playing your qualifying game to try to see if you can get in there still. If not already, I think that is coming up here. So you guys may potentially end up being in the championship bracket as well, and that would, for the people I know that are on it, that'll be a scary team that nobody really wants to see like that. So there's a good amount of teams that are still vying for their chance to be in there. I know, like I said, we're playing at the end of it, just because of where we got with our seating. So we'll play for like I said, just the championship aspect, the placing aspect. But it's going to be exciting, man. I'm trying to see if I can coordinate it to get the girls to be up there with me. That would be just the perfect fucking experience, to have my daughter there,
Where's
watch
it
dad
at?
play on the biggest fucking stage of his life. And
Oh
if we get to
wow,
take home gold, like, it's in Greece. Forgive me, I don't have
that's a
the
hell of a
name
trip.
correctly fully
Greece
right
is where
here.
my
Give me
wife wants
about
to go to. Like
two
that is it
seconds.
Santa was Santa Nori?
Um,
Eh, what? How does one even try out
well,
for
maybe
that
you should
team?
come out and watch your boy. You know what I'm saying?
This kind of
Like,
stuff needs to be like more broadcast with Football Canada. Like how people even like I'd never even heard of this, but that sounds amazing. Like Greece, that's crazy. I didn't even know Greece had football.
yeah, it's pretty awesome, man. I don't want to say I didn't know. I knew there were teams out there. I just didn't know this was as big. I mean, to that point, my coach actually, because I had asked him really your same question, like how does something like this come about? Where do they even put something like this together? All that good stuff. And there is a whole like pages of like previous games. Apparently, it's not just
Oh,
football. It's all sports. It's volleyball. It's golf. It's basketball. It's it's a legit. It's a world game ceremony. It's the top of the top and everything. So it's, man.
that's okay. I already did.
it's in. I'm gonna say this horribly wrong, so people don't cast your. It, that's okay. Well, then we're all right.
Rocky.
Then it's Loot Rocky Greece. Loot Rocky Greece. It it looks
Oh yeah.
yeah. That's how I'm gonna say it. But it
So
looks
it.
beautiful. I'm gonna say that now. It looks
I was just gonna say.
beautiful.
So it's
So
in. You're gonna
yeah,
miss
there's
it. You're
supposed
gonna
to
miss
be.
a Gators
Go
game
ahead.
or two
No, no,
then,
go
eh?
ahead. Well, so unfortunately, yes, I will have to miss. I believe it's our first game against the Duke. So I will miss my first reunion in new uniform against the Williams family. But I will say,
They're okay. Yeah.
I think that is something they'll be happy about, for sure. Yeah, I think they'll be happy about that. But I'll say, without giving too much out. I think we'll be just fine. To do okay with me, if you will, just for that 1 week. And then, ironically enough, I truthfully, this was not planned. This was not. It's very crazy that life just comes out this way. The first game I'll be back is actually going to be the clash of probably all clashes. The Jets will be flying into the swamp, and I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys can feel that tension already. And you guys aren't, we're not even here to say. So when you look at it like that, Gosh, it's gonna be a big week. There's gonna be that's gonna be a huge one. So I'm excited. I know Cold Lake will be up. I'm sure they're going to be already talking about the challenge that is going to present that day. In addition to the emotions coming, but I look forward to it. I know they're going to be competitive. I know they're going to give us their best shot as they should. That's a Teague Sherman coach team. I, I've played under it. I wouldn't expect nothing less. But I will say, me and the Gator boys are. We got something cooking of our own, and we coming with something. You know, you guys mentioned the as I mentioned a little earlier, you got the X factor, and then you got the dealer dropping them dimes out there. And then you got everybody else to mention. At what do they call? What's his? I can't remember. I can't even remember his name. I can't remember his nickname. It's gonna bother me, but then that we just gotta bolster guys. I only want to call guys by their nicknames right now because it's just funny. But we gotta bolster guys. In addition to what Kurt is still adding, and there's people he's adding I don't know about. I'm just talking about what I know. So with that, I think it'll be a good week. I think it'll be a highly competitive week. But again, I think we'll be just fine for week one. I do think Leduc's going to be an interesting
Yeah,
team
I
this
haven't
year. I
heard.
mean, I don't know how
They've
much.
been
What do you guys know
super
about them in
super
that aspect?
quiet
I
in the
haven't
way
really
they've
heard
done things.
too much. So
I'm not. I think they'll be okay. It depends on how many. I don't think both Edmonton and Leduc will be good, considering that Edmonton hasn't been able to be good by themselves. So I think you'll get some defectors from Edmonton, probably that we haven't heard about. Leduc is the new Edmonton now when it comes to privacy. They just don't want to talk to anybody about anything. I would be shocked if we're able to get Leduc on the podcast. So I think we're going to, well, I know we'll be able to get Edmonton now because Edmonton's Zach Brooks is actually running that. And Zach is a good guy and will definitely come on the podcast for sure. And I like Zach a lot. And so I think Zach will do a good job in Edmonton. I don't think they both can be super competitive. But it will be interesting. I mean, I'm really looking forward to the Airdrie Leduc game. I mean, there's a 100% chance that at least 3 people are getting tossed from that game. So we're going to see how that kind of goes. Yeah, there's no way that's not happening.
oh, for sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
Below,
Yeah. Oh, Mario, make sure we're hooked
I
up
will
and
be
we get the
closely
live stream
trying to
going in
watch
Greece.
that.
That'd be
I will
hey,
be
that's
closely
good.
trying
I
to
get
watch
some
that
some
for
Greece
sure.
viewers. Okay, Gabe, as always, just a blast talking to you, man. Glad to hear things are going so well for you. We will definitely have you on again, no doubt about that. Our most downloads are when you're on the podcast, so you drive listeners for us, that's for sure. So, Omari, anything else, and then shut us down if you're good to go.
I think that's everything from my end. If anything, Gabe, I was gonna say, do you want to give a sentence or two on the outlook of the league in your time that you've been here, and then anything that you want to, I guess, see from teams or expect to see from teams, just from your perspective and side of things. Quick sentence or two on each team and whatnot.
I think the league has grown a lot since I've gotten here. I don't want to say that's just because of me. I'll say I helped play a part in that. I think the league has grown positively. I think there's parity amongst the league now. I heard a lot of good things from a lot of teams. I think to more touch on your excuse me, your final question there. I think top to bottom, my personal opinion, I think you guys are going to be okay, Amari. I think you guys will be very
We'll
well,
see. We'll see.
taking a lot of strides this year. I think you guys will be very young, as you know, but I think you guys, as far as experience, if you will, but I think you guys are going to be okay. I think you guys are going to be a little better off than maybe even you guys think you'll end up being. I think Edmonton might be a little bit of a decent surprise. The good things that I know, I think there's some hope that they can do some, they can make some noise. I think Leduc has a chance to be competitive. Anytime you got the Williams, family there. They like to get after it. So I think you got a good shot there. Um, Airdrie, we know what Antoine brings to the table, as you mentioned, Teach, his coaching staff. They're going to be very competitive. They're going to be very well coached. They're going to have their good schemes, and they're going to try to get after you. Um, if the Bucks can come together, I think depending on what you guys may end up having, if you were there, Tej, I think that also depends hugely. I think that could be a good team. I think that could be a very well sleeper team, especially if you can find a quarterback to get you the ball, amongst others. I think that'd be a very good team. I think Cold Lake, if they can, depending on who they have running the show, as far as QB, that's what I mean when I say running the show. Depending on who they have running the show, I think that can bode well. I think if they're able to pick up for the pieces that are missing now, in addition to me, the guys that have moved on before me, before I made my announcement leaving already, and others, I think if they can, and T is a great recruiter, so if he can recruit and fill those voids, I think you're still looking at one of the top two teams in the league, if not one of the top three teams in the country. And
You forget about them
then,
Cowboys.
of course, us. Oh well, yeah. Oh, that's right. I did. That's actually. Thank you. No, I was. That's why I kept pausing. I am forgetting somebody. No, okay, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I said this last year, and I'm gonna say it again. I think this is their year that they kind of take that stride. The Cowboys have a lot going over there. They got good resources. They're a good young core. I haven't really heard too much. Not in a bad way. That was just a team too far out. But I like what they've had as far as everything they have put together. So I think if they can continue to build on that, I stand by what I said last year. I think that is the sleeper team of the league this year. I think that is a team that, if they sneak into the playoffs, that is a team that'll whoop your ass if you ain't careful. I really mean that. I stress that. I strongly fucking stress that. I'm sorry I forgot about you guys for a second. I promise it wasn't a slight at all. You guys are definitely on my radar. Trust and believe. I am on the table for you guys. Whether or not it happens, we'll see again. But I definitely think this could be your guys' year now. I know recruiting has been well for you guys over the past couple years, so maybe this is the year. And then as I was mentioning, then you come to us. They returned everybody, as you guys mentioned, basically, over a few guys. I think the guys that we lost, that we've replaced, we've upgraded in that aspect in most of those positions. In the secondary, I think we've upgraded a lot, especially with the addition of me. I think there's a lot of depth, which helps to a question you asked about, Tish, about as far as me missing a week. So I think that helps. And it's gonna be real sticky to try to get through the swamp, but it's got to come through the swamp. So, um, I think when all is said and done, and the dust settles and the snow
So it's
melts,
So
from, because last year and the year before it
I
was, it
think that
comes
is
through the
who
lake.
you'll
Now it's
see at
come
the
through
top.
the swamp.
out to
So
the swamp.
the title of this podcast, is clearly from the lake to the swamp.
Yeah.
Hey, look,
And
I
now
stick
I
with
gotta
the
ask,
water. You see, at least I
what kind
gotta
of
be
swamp we
around the
talking
water.
about? Like, are we
You know,
talking like in The
around the
Witcher
water.
video games, like a swamp where you're like, lots of crowd? Are we talking like a Florida swamp where it's like Florida man, Florida?
You ever
All
heard of
right.
that show, The Swamp People?
Yeah. Yeah. That
That's what we talking
that
about.
makes no, that
That's
makes
what
sense.
we're talking about right now. We that's and dirty
Uh,
enough. No, I'm just saying. No, and all good and fun. It's telling you guys, in all seriousness, if you guys ever get a chance to come over to the Gators, I heard a lot of good things. Not to take too much time, just to kind of give perspective, guys. I heard a lot of good things before I got here. Truthfully, I heard about players, how good they were from the Gators in Europe. That's how I wanted to say it. So I kind of knew they were somebody. And at the time, I think that was the year before was maybe, or the couple years prior was one of the last year. Hearing about them still, that's how I kind of looked at, damn, like, I remember that team. How the hell are they still, like, what? That's kind of crazy. So to be in it now, everything that I've heard, I'll tell you guys, this is first class. This is first class. From the way they treat you to the standard, as you guys know, the word that, Mari used, but you know how I feel about that, to the standard, to accountability, to the way they look, to the way they carry themselves, to the way they represent themselves. This is world class. And, I would say between the two, because I've been at the top two, the last couple years, I think these two are probably the top two in the league for a reason, as far as the way things are way things are ran. But I fully see why the Gators have the reputation they have, and I would definitely say if you guys get a chance at some point in your careers, whenever that could be, I definitely recommend just come get a feel for it. Just give it a month. If you at least want to try it, give it a month trial. And I promise you won't want to go back. I promise you won't want to go back.
Yeah, it's tempting. And I'll tell you personally for myself,
the
it'd be nice to catch footballs from a guy like Jordan Heather, I'll tell you that much. All right, Amari, close us out.
All right. Well, hey, Gabe, appreciate you coming on. Looking forward to the season. All the best of the World Games. All right. As well, too, I've been seeing some of your gaming clips, too, so be sure to go check out Gabe on his Twitch.
Appreciate
You want to drop that here quick?
Twitch channel TTV T Weezy. Shout out to New Era Gaming. As to little shameless plug, I joined a upcoming gaming esports team out in Calgary. So shout out New Era Gaming. We're coming up very much.
Appreciate it.
Look for us.
As well.
Look for me. Look for my boys.
You can
Shout
get
out.
our podcast always on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere you get your podcasts. The season's heating up. We're just shy of around 60 days from week one, and I feel like, hey, I said it before in the podcast, a lot of decisions and potentially transactions can happen leading up because guys are going to see where they fall on the depth chart, guys are going to see where their team's at, standards are, all those different things are coming to play, and if things haven't advanced far enough, then, I'm speaking to myself, but you got to take matters into your own hands, so we'll see what happens. So, hey, appreciate Gabe joining us here. Tej, I'll see you here soon, and then we'll see you AFU fans here on the next one. Here we got some good stuff coming up here.
Awesome. Thanks, Gabe. Take care of yourself, buddy. See you soon. Okay.
All right, everybody.
You too, brother. See you, buddy.
Likewise.